What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host for the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and I'm here again for the final time as myself with my co-host Jeremiah Street as we get to the last leg of the divisions. And today we're doing the AFC West and the AFC East. So I'm going to start with the AFC West, and I don't know. I think this year I think that I'm gonna have a lot of fans that's gonna like hate me, and they're gonna let me know that they hate me. But my number 4 team in the AFC West, I have the LA Chargers. Um, the blowout that they had in that playoff game was absolutely devastating. Najee Harris doesn't seem like he might be working out, even though they have Amarion Hampton and Haskins in there, and they're more of power backs anyway, which is what Jim Harbaugh likes. I don't know if they can stand up defensively that well. I do think that there's a lot of question marks in regards to, do they really believe in Justin Herbert? I do think that they, like, when you really analyze like the style of play that Jim Harbaugh may want to go with, I think he may want to go with a run heavy style, which means you now make Justin Herbert completely ineffective as a passer, or it's like we might actually see Justin Herbert probably have like 15 attempts a game, and then that's going to be it, where we're going to see the increased workload of an Amarion Hampton and a Hassan Haskins throughout the whole season. And for me, I don't think that that's a steady way of victory in the NFL, especially when you're talking about how you got teams like Cincinnati and even the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens, who's going to be trying their best to air the ball out, even the Kansas City Chiefs, and the ball out as much as they can to get down the field. And Jim Harbaugh might be having this run heavy offense. So my number 4 is the LA Chargers. I saw your eyes peeked up when you heard me say Chargers. Who's your number 4?
Yeah, my number 4 is the Raiders. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
Raiders, man. There's two things good about the Raiders. That's their future and their stadium.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's the two good things about them right now. 2025 ain't it.
Okay.
But I like their future because they have Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's pretty old. He's still energetic. I did see him at a game between the Carolina Panthers and the Seahawks, and I seen him running around the field. I was like, this dude's old and he's still moving around like this. It's crazy. But they made a big massive overhaul. And they changed the secondary, like defense changed. I don't blame for doing that anyways, because not like defense was great. But they got Geno Smith. Geno Smith is he's a solid quarterback, And then they picked up Ashton Gentry from Boise State, from out of Boise State, which he's a power running back. He's a load. I just feel like for them in this year, I feel like they're probably gonna have another bad year. Probably not as bad as last year, but I just feel like their time is in the future. I give them about 2 to 3 years max with Pete Carroll before they matter of fact, I give them 2 years before they actually be an actual playoff contender. But they're in a tough division. They're in a tough division with those, the mother teams. They're definitely, you got the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers. So
Right.
that's it's not an easy conference. Back in the day, it used to be automatic for some teams, but not anymore.
Yeah. That's funny that you said that, because my number 3 is the Raiders. The reason why is in the NFL, there are not a lot of coaches in the NFL who's able to turn teams around in year one. Pete Carroll is one of the few that is
Mhm.
shown year after year, not only in the NFL, but also in college, that he's able to turn teams around in only his first year. He did it with the Jets years ago, he did it with the Patriots, did it with USC, did it with Seattle. It's hard for me to think that he's not going to do it with the Raiders. They again, Brock Bowers. I think that they're going to go to a more of a personnel. I think it's 11 personnel where they had the two tight ends. I
Mhm.
think that they're going to go more to that because having Brock Bowers and Mike Myers on the field at the same time, and you're talking about running the ball with Ashton Genty. I think we're going to see a far more tougher Raiders team than what people think. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fully excited about not looking past Geno Smith as the starting quarterback, but he'll be effective enough to help the transition and the turnover happen within a year. So with that, I got the Raiders at number two. Defensively, I am a little concerned with them defensively, especially in that secondary. Trayvon Moore was a huge loss. They
Mhm.
did replace him with Jeremy Chin. How effective is Jeremy Chin in comparison to Trayvon Moore is going to be a huge something that's going to be a big deal because
Yeah.
they really lost a very strong key component when he left for free agency to your Carolina Panthers. So for me, again, like I said, because of Pete Carroll's history, I got the the Las Vegas Raiders at as my number three. Who's your number three?
Number three is the Chargers. Number three is the Chargers. Hey, we just got our stuff swapped. Uh,
Yeah.
but I say, Jim Harbaugh in that run game. He's helping out. He's helping out the quarterback. It's just they did bring back Khalil Mack this year. They brought back
Hmm.
Khalil Mack. But the one move that it was a little weird. I didn't understand why they let Asante Samuel Jr. go,
Hmm.
but they picked up Dante Jackson.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just like I think Asante Samuels is Jr. is better than Dante Jackson. Dante Jackson is good for like screenplays, but he's always
Hmm.
the reason why I know so much about him because he played for
He
Carolina Panthers.
played
We used to
Carolina, yeah.
yeah, he has a habit of missing assignments. And missing
Mm,
assignments, he's athletic and stuff like that. But when it comes down to the X and O, that portion that he always end up making bonehead plays. Um, so I'm like Asante Samuel Jr. I didn't understand like why let him go. And maybe it was a money issue. I don't know. It could be a
mhm,
cap, something like with the cap. But they did get Najee Harris. They did pick up Najee Harris. So he loves that ground up. He's gonna run that ball for the
mhm,
most part. So um, I don't have them really doing that well, but they're definitely number three in the division. But Jim Harbaugh, he's a proven head coach in the NFL
mhm.
and on the collegiate level now.
Right.
He definitely got the hardware to back it up to say so. So they could be a surprise. We don't know.
Right. I mean, and again, like I said, we do have ours flipped, but it sounds like we're basically on the same page with that. It's like, here are the positives, here are the negatives.
Yeah.
It's even though for me, like I said, I still think that Justin Herbert is one of those things that's going to be something. I'm gonna say this might be a hot take. I would not be surprised if at some point we see Justin Herbert ask for a trade in season. I
Mm,
don't, especially if his production isn't where he wants it to be. So I definitely feel that people need to be on the listen out for that. My number two, and I guess I'm not certain if ours fall in line, but my number two is the Denver Broncos. Coming off of really good first year for Bo Nix. To me, I feel they still didn't really answer that running back issue
mm,
that they have and that they've had for a while now. I like RJ Harvey, but I'm not certain that he's the answer at running back, especially when you're talking about a Sean Payton type of team that is used to having the big back that can really carry a load versus a guy like him who's kind of smaller stature, but he's effective, but not quite what you think that it should be, especially with a Denver team that in that playoff game was brutalized. Like they were taken that they were taken to the house on that whole thing. So um I do feel that Bo Nix will be better this year. Um I wish they would have. I mean, their wide receiving core is great with Cortland Sutton and Marvin
Mhm.
Mims, along with Troy Franklin and all that. I wish they would have added something else there, that would have really pushed them over the top because Bo Nix is a guy that at Oregon he had a lot of receivers that were interchangeable that could help him out a lot. So with that, I do have the Denver Broncos, and defensively. They're
Yeah,
a
yeah.
tough team defensively. The draft in a Jardine Barron to put him next to Patrick Surtain, that was that blew me away in the draft, but it made all the sense in the world. What better way to sit up there, and especially when you're talking about the AFC West, where you're talking about teams that want to throw the ball, to solidify your secondary like that? That was a very good move. So the Denver Broncos is my number two. Who's your number two?
Hey, my number two is Denver Broncos as well.
Okay.
Uh, hey man, look, who needs a running back? You got Bo Nix, he the running back and a quarterback.
But see, that didn't work in the playoff game, though.
Nah, there's a limit to it. There's a
Yeah.
limit to it. You definitely need somebody hitting the ball off to, man. Oh man, you brought receivers, man. They did add in Evan Ingram. They got
Yeah.
him.
But
They
see,
did pick him up
he's
on the tight
also,
ends.
but he's also a dropsy guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he's that guy that had that big game as a tight end.
Hmm.
It was for them. It was a good pickup. And then also they added Dre Greenlaw on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they they picked him up. Now how's he be with his injuries going in the past couple of years? You know he's been injured.
Hmm.
But that's another guy they added into the defense rotation. I'm expecting Denver Broncos probably to be number 1 to 3 top defense. I'm
Hmm.
expecting that. I think they finished out seventh the defense last year.
Hmm.
They still got Sean Payton. Still got
Yeah.
Sean Payton. Good on the offense side of the end, man. They got a great O line. I love O
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
You see how it
Yeah.
worked out with the quarterback and the O
Right.
line. You got
Right.
Bo Nix in college for like 20 years. Came out with all the experience in the world. You know, but but he sat behind that O line, and him being able to run the ball and still be able to fling the ball too.
Hmm.
Hey, that worked out with Sean Payton, and it's crazy to me because they got them. They made that crazy trade for Russell Wilson back in the day,
Russell
gave up all
Wilson.
those
Yeah.
draft picks, and they still they they're still making it work, and they gave up
Right.
draft picks with Sean Payton.
Yeah, they gave up. Yeah, they did. They gave up draft picks for Sean Payton. Yeah, they sure
But
enough did.
somehow, some way, man. But I think they're going to challenge. I honestly think they're going to challenge the Chiefs for that top spot this year.
Okay. And I guess we're both on the same page,
Yeah,
just the Kansas City Chiefs for the number one.
yeah.
I don't see a fall off. Now, what happens is that what we saw last year out of Patrick Mahomes was an anomaly season.
Hmm.
Losing Rasheen Rice was big for him.
Yeah.
Like that was his guy. But I just think he comes back. And I do feel that one thing about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is that they hate being embarrassed.
Mhm.
And that Super Bowl destruction embarrassed them massively. Travis Kelce has been talking about how embarrassed he was in that whole thing. I think we not only see a resurgence of the Kansas City Chiefs, I think we see a Chiefs that is completely refocused. And they're like, we're not going to let that happen again. We may see a more violent Chiefs, not only defensively, but also offensively. Now,
Mhm.
did they lost a major piece to that offensive line? They they didn't have the strongest offensive line. I still don't think they have one of the stronger offensive lines, but they have an effective one. Pacheco is back. He's going to be back and fully healthy this year.
Mhm.
So that was another key element that kind of hurt their season and stuff also. And you saw what it did even in the Super Bowl. He was like not effective at all. So again, I think that we will see a resurgence of the Kansas City Chiefs and that I don't feel that there's anyone. I think that all the teams are going to feel it this year. Like
Yeah.
it was like last year was about, oh, they're pulling out all these wins and it's miraculous and last second and all that. I think they're going to solidify, oh, we're winning and we're going to
Hmm.
show you we're winning. So
Yeah.
that was the AFC West. Now we're going to head to the AFC East. So Jeremiah, I'm gonna let you go first. Who's your force in your four spot in the AFC East?
All right. So I went with the New York Jets for the
Okay.
fourth spot. You got honestly, I feel like this is a bad move for Justin Fields. I said it's a bad move for Justin Fields because he has what does he have? He has Garrett Wilson, and it's
Hmm.
not like he's the best passer of all time. It's not like he's a great he's an okay passer, but he's better when his legs and he's got his running game going, which he does have Brees Hall for that.
Hmm.
But other reason why I said I think it's a bad move because of Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn, he's
New
a
coach.
defensive head coach. He's a
Hmm.
hardcore defensive head coach. And then their defensive coordinator is Steve Wilkes that we talked about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other day. And those are two strong personality on the defense side of the ball. Trust me, they are very two strong personality on the defense
right.
side of the ball. So I believe they made a lot of moves for the defense too.
Hmm.
And then last year they were like the middle of the pack defense. I expect that to be like top tier with those two defense coordinators. It's just that I don't feel the offense is going to move up in a direction unless the offense coordinator is a guru. But that's yet to be known. I know that they did pick up a tackle in the draft
Yeah.
for the O line, but the O line is still weak. They still need well they do got Justin Fields to make up for some of that. But I feel like it's a bad move for him for now. He's on his third team trying to make something happen. Uh, but that's what I have for the Jets. I got the Jets number 4.
All right. So for me, I also had the Jets at number four. Um, the deal with the Jets is one, the DJ Reed leaving, that might affect them more than they think. Even though they got Brandon Stevens to replace him, I still think that that DJ Reed move is going to hurt them a little bit defensively. Offensively, yes, Justin Fields is going into, I think this is now his fifth offense. And the offensive coordinator is the no, not the quarterback's coach. I think he was the offensive passing
For
coordinator
Detroit.
in Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his first real leap as an offensive coordinator. So um, I do feel that there will be some familiarity with Justin Fields and comfortability with him and Garrett Wilson because they were at Ohio State together. But I don't know if they have enough to turn it around, especially when you're talking about year one. And like you said, yeah, here they are again. Again, they brought in a defensive minded coach. Um, and again, this is Aaron Glenn's first time being a head coach. So
Mhm.
we're going to see what happens there. I do feel that the defense will be slightly better. But offensively, I don't think that they're bad offensively. I just don't know how much Justin Fields is going to be able to accommodate that offense, especially with him picking up his fifth offense. And I'm pretty sure that terminology, in fact, I can guarantee that that terminology is far different than Arthur Smith's terminology.
Mhm.
And not only that, you're talking about Justin Fields comes from a running background and a running offensive background into now what may be a pass heavy background. And I don't know how ready he's going to be for that. So, for that, those reasons is why I got the New York Jets at four. Who do you got at number three?
I got the Patriots at number 3.
Oh,
This was kind of tough for me.
okay.
But I can explain why. All right, they do have a proven head coach in Mike Vrabel. He's proven
Hmm.
and what he did with the Tennessee Titans. Matter of fact, they beat the Patriots in the playoffs. They took Tom Brady out for
Hmm.
his last game as a Patriot. Uh, Here's why. When I think about Carolina quarterbacks, 'cause I'm also a UNC fan, a Carolina fan.
Hmm.
I rank them in orders. That's from third to one in the last 10, 15 years. You got Mitch Trubisky, you got
Hmm.
Sam Howell, which Sam Howell was better than Mitch Trubisky in my opinion than college. Then you had Drake May, which is better than Sam Howell. I watched them all pretty much at Carolina. I'm not saying I'm not sold on Drake May, but as far as I don't know his ceiling. I don't know what his
Mhm.
ceiling is. It's kind of like knowing what quarterbacks coming out of college. I can watch them. And I can sit here and say, hey, they're going to be here. I knew Mr. Trubisky wasn't going to be no good. I
Right.
knew that, and I was surprised that he actually got drafted that high. I don't know what the scouts was looking at, but they weren't looking at the same film I was looking at. So I wasn't surprised there. Sam Howell was like a. It's like he could be good. He could not. Um, but the Patriots going back to Patriots, they didn't make that big purchase. Milton Williams,
Mhm.
definitely he needed him. They definitely needed him. So they went heavy. I say heavy on the defense, and which they went heavy on the defense. So I'm a little concerned about Drake May and the offense because they got Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs coming off injury. He's
Right.
coming off a major injury at that.
Right.
So we don't know what that's going to look like during the season. Hey, well that's what I have for the Patriots at
N-
number 3.
At number three.
Yeah,
Okay. So for
yeah.
me, my number three was the Miami Dolphins.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think they underestimated the opportunity to take a quarterback in the draft, especially when Shador Sanders started falling.
Mhm.
Um, Tua has shown that he can't complete a season, and that in each season he's always gotten some type of concussion in the season. With that being said, his backup is Zach Wilson. There's no way you can be
Mhm.
successful if Tua goes out to a concussion again, and you have to now rely on Zach Wilson to try to dig you out of a hole. Defensively, uh, you got rid of Jalen Ramsey, but you bring back Minka Fitzpatrick. Minka Fitzpatrick, the past, I say, year, doesn't seem like he's happy playing football. It's not to say that he's not playing football. It just doesn't seem like that level of passion is there anymore. And when you add that to a defense that seems to not really know what their identity is, you're dealing with a team that I think is going to be dealing with a massive influx of uncertainty as they move forward. Their head coach seems to be a really good play caller, but right now I don't know if he has enough talent wise to really be successful. And again, to rely on a quarterback that, even going back to his time in college, couldn't be relied on due to the fact that he was getting concussions all the time. That's a huge red flag there. So for me, the Miami Dolphins are three. I just don't see them going far, especially when you're talking about we've seen in consecutive seasons Tua go out due to concussions. Uh, yeah, I just don't see it. Who's your number two?
My number 2 is the Dolphins. We had those flip flops. So
Yeah.
for those similar reasons, it's not if Tua's going to get injured, it's when and how many games he's going to miss.
Hmm.
Uh, they did trade Johnu Smith. They traded him off. I guess he wasn't happy with his contract.
Right.
But they did pick up Darren Waller. Darren Waller's coming out of retirement. He
Right.
didn't have a really good year for the New York Giants. And then Bradley Chubb is coming off injury. So they get him back to help out with some portion of that defense, even though they lost Jalen Ramsey. You already explained all that.
Hmm.
And Raheem Mostert, he left.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that was a 1-2 punch that you had in the past, like the last 2 years, with your running backs. And then I feel I'm not really sold on Mike McDaniels. Yeah, you
Mhm.
said he was a good caller, but my issue with Mike McDaniels is that he just came into a good situation. The
Mhm.
situation became good because they picked up Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek
Yep.
Hill makes everyone's life easier.
Right.
He makes life easy. He takes top off defense. He's
Mhm.
gonna get double team. The attention's gonna be on him, and that allowed Jalen Waddle to shine also.
Right.
So it makes it easy for a play caller. But you got to have someone throwing the ball.
And I think that's where you and I agree on.
Yeah.
They also have A Chain. Can't forget him. And they got
What'd
Brenton
you say?
Strange, A Chain, running
Oh,
back.
okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
They
they
do got
got
him. Yeah.
Brenton Strange, the other tight end. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Dolphins, yeah, yeah, everything it revolves around Tua being healthy.
Hmm.
My number two is the Pats. The reason why my number two is the Pats is because they basically recreated the Patriots again,
Hmm.
minus Bill Belichick. Josh McDaniels is their offensive coordinator. We know he understands how to work with quarterbacks. So even though he hasn't shown it outside of the Patriots bubble, but inside the Patriots bubble, he's shown that he's able to really work with quarterbacks. So with that, I do think that Drake May is going to be better under Josh McDaniel. The problem is he's now learning his second offense in only his second year in even though I guess technically the offense won't be that much different because I think Josh McDaniels was there last year with them, right?
I don't remember. To be
I,
honest with you,
I,
I don't remember about Josh McDaniel in last year. I do not remember.
I could be
Wait a
wrong,
minute.
but
Uh,
I thought that I thought Josh McDaniel might have been it. But either way,
yeah.
I do feel that Drake May will be better. I do feel that that defense will be a lot better, especially with, you know, I wasn't a Christian Gonzalez fan, and I think that there are a lot of times that teams kind of like play around with him, like they don't really attack him like they should.
Hmm.
But I do feel that the Pats are going to be a whole lot better, especially defensively. Offensively, Jalen Polk is there. Everybody has familiarity with Drake May this year, so he hasn't had a lot of changes. The draft in the Trayvon Henderson was huge. I
Hmm.
love Travion Henderson coming out of Ohio State. I thought he was the number one running back in the draft. To snag something like that and you're now going to put him with Drake May along with Jalen Polk and the other guys that are there, I think we're going to see the Pats actually have a better season than what people can't even think of because I think that they're really ready to make a leap this year. And again, you're talking about that's again another one of those quarterbacks from that 2024 class. You know, like that he's shown that he can play. And again, I don't know why I'm thinking that Josh McDaniel was there last year. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I thought he was there last year, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I do feel that the Pats are the number two. Who's your number one?
Number one is got to be the Bills until
Mhm.
proven otherwise, because the Bills, Josh Allen, um, he's already proven that he can do it without a proven number one receiver. He can make a lot of number two receivers and then make it work from there. He's the MVP from last year, and then you added Joey Bosa. They got him on a 1 year contract.
Mhm.
Not so sure about how he's going to work out due to injuries, but I
Yeah.
do know he had like 3 sacks in those first couple of games that he had he injured himself twice last year, I believe. But he was playing pretty well before the injuries.
Mhm.
But we'll see how that works out this year. Sean McDermott, he came from the Carolina Panthers coaching tree. He was defensive coordinator. But the things I don't like what he does doing Josh Allen, they're using him like Cam Newton.
Mhm.
Um, what's happening is now we're getting to the point where he doesn't have like clear number one receivers because he had Stephon Diggs, which he's also made that he's made some good plays with those receivers he has now. Coleman, he had who do he have? Amari Cooper last year.
Amari Cooper, yeah.
I'm not sure Amari Cooper is. I haven't. Is he still a free agent right now?
I think he might actually be still a free agent because I don't think he's on
Yeah,
Buffalo's team.
because I haven't heard his name come up anywhere in a while. I just thought about when I was naming off the receivers from last year. But I think he's starting to follow that little that concept. And
Hmm.
then matter of fact, their GM was assistant GM for Carolina Panthers too. They all we us Carolina Panthers we call that Carolina Panthers North because they use a lot of those players.
They took a lot of the
But
players, yeah.
yeah, they do. But I'm just more concerned about the Bills is them running Josh Allen to the ground because he's going to be up here for so long, and then eventually he's going to slide off. If he starts getting injured. That's if he starts getting injured.
And that's a big thing. Um, I felt that they gave Josh Allen the MVP, and he didn't deserve it.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I feel that they turned the MVP into a participation trophy, which they shouldn't have done. But They have one of the biggest and best offensive lines. So
Mhm.
that's like when you said something about the Cam Newton situation, this is different because they actually have an offensive line in front of
True.
him that is way better than what was in Carolina at the time. Um, the James Cook situation might be a big problem because he didn't get his money and he wants to get paid. Um, we seen Matt Milano be injured again. This was again, he went through an injury last year. So we're talking about we saw one season he was out completely. This season came back and was injured again. So we got to really see what happens to them defensively. Offensively, Keion Coleman wasn't a bad receiver, but the guy was Shakir. Shakir was
Oh
their
yes,
big
yeah.
receiver. He was their big play receiver and the guy that was making waves and stuff like that. They also lost the tight end, the slot guy,
Come on, Knox.
Knox. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. They lost the slot receiver. I can't think of his name right now, the little white slot receiver. But they lost him in free agency.
Hmm.
So they're gonna have to find ways to get the ball down the field. I do feel that I don't feel that they're not gonna take a massive step back. But
Hmm.
I do feel that they're going to find themselves in deeper water than what they were last year. Because, like you said, I do see them running Josh Allen more than normal, and he's not throwing the ball as much. But again, like I said, I feel that they should have never gave him the MVP because I think that if he has a far better season this year, then the MVP will be justified. And then again, it'll look like you just gave him an award for nothing. So
Hmm.
it's going to be something. But yeah, I got the Buffalo Bills as the number one team in that thing. Again, and their defense is still just as good. The drafting of Marvin Harrison, we will have to see about that secondary though. Is that secondary up to snuff when it comes to actually facing some of these again pass happy teams?
Yep.
Is Marvin Harrison Marvin not Marvin Harris, his
Yeah.
name is Marcus Harrison. I think it's Marcus Harrison. It's Harrison, not Harrison. But um yeah, we're definitely going to have to see what happens in that secondary and what goes on. And if again, I think that they've been struggling with their offensive coordinators and their offensive coordinators having some level of success and some level of consistency when it comes to them in season and changing in mid seasons and stuff like that. So we're going to see what happens to them offensively, especially if James Cook doesn't show up for camp or there's an opportunity for him to get paid and they just don't want to pay him and they trade him and stuff like that. They're going to probably see themselves running Josh Allen more than what they expected in this upcoming season. So that was the AFC East, and that is the end of our series as we went through the divisions. Again, y'all tell us what y'all think. How do y'all feel? Do some of y'all not agree with where we had the teams listed? How many of y'all do agree with what the teams have done? Fans, come on, don't be mean, don't be mad. It's just that this is how we saw certain things. Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and all that. Again, this is your man John Fortune with my man Jeremiah Street, and this has been the Frustrated Fans Sports Show.